There is a certain dread that strikes the human heart when you learn about an insect that expands its diet to include things like frogs, birds, and worse yet, mammals. The giant desert centipede is just giant enough to cross into our class for a meal. But it needs more than size to take down large prey. A toolkit with more than one deadly device is exactly what this insect boasts in life, death, and taxonomy. Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal info. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can visit us at our home on the web at ldtaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, to Jesse Raspolich, Carol Raspolich, Richard Kaspar, Lottie Nobry, Gray Hughes, and Wednesday Rabbit. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on.
And today we're talking about a killer that offers sweet nectar to its prey.
Yeah, like Mikola the Kind. We're talking about the giant desert centipede. Whenever I think of centipedes, I instantly think of Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that was just the most horrifying instance of centipedes I've seen. And so it's just that's what's etched into my consciousness. They're not quite that big, but we will talk about how big they are. It's also known as the Arizona desert centipede, the giant Sonoran centipede, the Texas black-tailed centipede, and the Texas red-headed centipede. So it's got a few variations. But we're going to call it here the Pain Train and Lethal Legs.
Train. Centipedes are trains.
They are.
Didn't we do one that looked like a train or something? Like it had a little red glowing.
We've done the dragon centipede that spits venom in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, it's basically a train.
It's basically a train. Train spit venom. Gosh, trains are such a big part of my life. It's been such a big part of my life for the last 2 years. I know all the Thomas characters. We've watched just train spotting or whatever they call them, enthusiast videos. They go and
I
just
thought you watched actually the movie Train Spotting.
No, that's the one with Jake Gyllenhaal in it, right?
Movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is. No, there's
I think it's Ewan McGregor.
That's you're right. It is Ewan McGregor. There's a whole hobby of going to train intersections and seeing different and filming different kinds of it's like
birding.
It's like birding, yeah.
Something literally on a schedule.
Yeah, something that is coming. It's the easiest. It's so much easier than birding, and it's huge and loud. It's not like you could miss it. There could be a green-eared pheasant in the bushes over there, and it's the only one south of the Mason-Dixon line in 100 years. So it's the rarest birding thing you could ever see, and you'll never see it because it's a tiny bird in a bush.
There's a scene. There's a meme where it's the scene from Gladiator, of Caesar or whatever coming in on the chariot, and he's got this look of superiority, and it's the meme was the feeling a birder gets when he's among other people not noticing all the cool birds around.
That sounds like something Lenny Pepperbottom would say. You just don't notice all the cool birds that are around.
I don't remember who that is.
He's Nietzsche.
I forgot that his name was
Lenny
Pepperbottom.
Lenny Pepperbottom. Because he thinks nature is pretty neat. All right, let's taxonomize the centipede. It is in the kingdom you know, love, like, and belong to, and are in. Kingdom is Animalia. The phylum is Arthropoda, not Anthropoda. Arthropoda. It has an exoskeleton. It keeps its bones on the outside. It doesn't have bones. The class is Chilopoda. So cold legs. Or spicy legs, maybe. It could be spicy legs.
Yeah, chili.
Like chili. The order is Scolopendromorpha. Scolopendromorpha. The family is Scolopendridae. And the genus is Scolopendra. And the species is Heros. So Scolopendra Heros is the binomial nomenclature, which brings us to my favorite part of the show, nitty-gritty nomenclature. Because there isn't really one for centipedes. I saw someone petition. There's oftentimes like a Twitter petition for these kinds of things. Like, oh, there isn't one for centipedes. I petitioned to call them a horrible of centipedes or something like that. And so I'm always wondering, like, should I make the game like which one is petitioned on Twitter to be the collective noun? But no, they're not gregarious enough, I suppose, to have a collective noun. So we're gonna go with nitty gritty nomenclature. What does Scolopendra heros mean? Does it mean A, curled rock feet? B, warrior with sharp guts? C, sun-colored fighter? Or D, low-swinging battle man?
Sun-colored fighter. Final answer.
That's incorrect. The answer is warrior with
man?
sharp guts.
Oh, I was hoping it was battle man.
I actually added the man at the very end because I thought that I was... Because the only one that was like complicated was the warrior with sharp guts. I was like, this one stands out too much, and it's the answer. Yeah. What Heros comes from hero. I mean, it's where hero is based off of. So, that's warrior or demigod. And then Skolo is sharp, and Pendra is guts or worm, like a worm-like thing. But you know, your guts your intestines look like a worm. So, Scolopendra could be otherwise translated as biting earthworm. Like sharp, biting earthworm, which is weird. Mm-hmm. But sharp guts works as well. Let's talk about what this guy looks like. He looks like nightmare fuel. If you don't like centipedes. Yeah, nightmare. Nightmare. It is the largest centipede in North America. It is long, has a segmented body, red-brown plating along its body, and black head and tail, although there are other variations that switch this up, where it has a black body and a red head and tail, which is why it's also sometimes called the Texas red-headed centipede. But it's also called the Texas black-tailed centipede. So those are two different variations where it has a red body, black head and tail, or a black body, red head and tail. Mm-hmm. It is this coloration is called aposematism. Aposematism. It's aposematically colored.
Passamaquoddy.
Sure. Which we talked about with the poison dart frog. It means it's colored in a way that says, "Don't touch me. I am dangerous." From a poison/venom, from a toxic substance point of view. And this is something I did not know. How many feet does a centipede have?
You would think 10. 100.
You mean a decapede? You'd think 100.
Yeah.
Not even close. I thought it was like at least close. No, it's between 42 and 46. It's like not even halfway there.
That's a weird amount. Don't you think that's a weird amount of legs?
It is more than I would like for me personally. Like I just wouldn't do well with that many legs. It wouldn't really fit into my like daily
body
my
structure?
schedule or yeah, bone structure as well. But yeah, it has 21 to 23 pairs of legs, depending on the segments that it has. So I think someone just looked at it and said, like, wow, that's got like 100 feet. We're going to call it a centipede. And look, that one over there has got like 1,000 feet. We're going to call it a millipede. Although a millipede probably is probably closer to having 100 feet than the centipede is. And we get not a lot, but we get some centipedes here in North Florida. It's weird when I moved from South Florida to North Florida. I started seeing scorpions and centipedes like I was in the desert or something like that. But this, like I said, this is the largest centipede in North America. So how large is it, Joe?
Welcome to the Beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show, the part of the show that's introduced by you when you send in audio yourself saying, singing, or chanting the words measure up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. What kind of show is it? It's the part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. We don't have a new measure up intro this week, which means we get to hear from a centipede, and Carlos gets to guess what it is. Actually don't have a centipede, but I do have a millipede.
No, not this one. Don't do this to me. I don't want to hear it.
Without further ado, the listeners.
I don't want to hear it.
Part of the show.
Here we go. I am the millipede. I am amazing.
So you know what that is immediately.
I do know what that is. That is Charlie the Unicorn. Isn't there a...
Yeah, episode 4.
Yes. Have you not watched James and the Giant Peach? There is... That's what I'm like... That's when I think of a centipede in fiction. I just had to look it up to make sure that he was a centipede. And I was like, yeah, he is a centipede.
I think of the line, I am the millipede. I am astounding. I command you to gaze upon my face constantly.
Yeah, I think about that a lot too, which is why I was hoping it wouldn't be reintroduced into my psyche.
That walked so that the song Shiny could run. It's a very similar like energy and vibe.
No. Because there's a tune to the Millipede song. Shiny has never gotten stuck in my head, but this song lives rent free in my head. It has it set up its own like cat palace in the corner. And so like sometimes it knocks over a vase in my brain and reminds me that it's there.
But isn't it two giant arthropods boasting about themselves? Basically the same thing.
Sure, you took that all the way to the phylum level. It's a little different. But did you know Richard Dreyfuss was Mr. Centipede in James and the Giant Peach? I did not know that.
Probably at one point, yeah.
That's crazy.
Let's talk length. They're 6.5 to... Well, they're 6.5 generally on average, or 170 millimeters, but they can reach up to 8 inches and 200, which is 200 millimeters in the wild. But if you have them in captivity, you can grow them even larger, like a chia pet. But we're going to go with the 8 inches, 200 millimeters.
That's too big. 8 inches, man.
Yeah. The giant desert centipede is the same as A, the diameter of 12 Coke bottle caps, B, a giraffe's tongue, or C, the thickness of 117 quarters?
I feel like a giraffe's tongue is longer than a
United
centipede.
States quarters.
How many quarters?
117.
The thickness, like them stacked?
Yeah, stacked.
Okay, I think that's way too many. So I have to go with the Coke bottles.
The diameter of
Or
12
the
Coke
Coke-
bottles.
Coke bottles? Or
Coke
caps?
bottle caps.
Caps. The Coke bottle caps. That is my final answer.
The correct answer is the thickness of 117 quarters.
117 quarters stacked on top of each other is 8 inches.
Yeah.
Wow, huh? That seems like way too many.
You were right about a giraffe's tongue. A giraffe's tongue is 18 to 20 inches long.
Yeah. An 8-inch giraffe tongue is like what? Like Gene Wilder's got you beat.
Let's talk about their leg amount. we already mentioned.
We already know how many legs they have.
They don't have, as big as this bug is, they don't care about its weight. They never have the weight readily available for bugs or fish.
Which is weird because that is one of the main metrics for like fishing competitions.
Sports fish, sporty fish, they'll give you the weight. They have 21 to 23 pairs of legs. It's weird that an animal has a range of legs, a range of possible leg amounts. But a centipede has the same amount of legs as A, 23 Franklintinis, B, 5.7 trestle tables, C, 1/56th of Eumillipus Persephone is a millipede.
What's a Franklintini?
Frank Lentini is a person.
Oh, I thought it was a drink.
It does sound like it. You say it all together.
How many of Frank?
23.
So, if Franklintini has 2 legs, then obviously that is the answer. It sounds like
No. If Frank Lentini has a 1 leg, that's the answer. 23. It has 23 pair. Oh, oops. I forgot I said pairs of legs.
yes. If he has
Yeah.
1 leg, then it's not enough. If he has 2 legs, then it is perfect. I don't know Franklintini, but I feel like you wouldn't have chosen him unless he had 1 leg. I don't know what the other ones were.
5.7 trestle tables or 1/56th of a particular kind of millipede. Eumillipus Persephone.
1/56th. They have a lot of legs. I'll go with that one.
It's 1/56th the amount of legs, not 1/56th
the number.
of the thing.
I will go with
Yeah.
the millipede. 1/56th of a millipede's legs. They have just
Final
thousands
answer?
of legs. Yeah.
That is correct.
Yes.
It has
Frank Martini has 1 leg, right?
No. Frank Lentini was a boy that was born with 3 legs.
Oh.
And he had what is called a parasitic twin or an asymmetrical twin, which are conjoined twins that do not develop at the same rate. So Frank had 3 legs and 4 feet and a partially absorbed twin that left him with an extra leg.
That
and
is
2 extra feet and an extra something else.
Gosh, I like whenever you hear about like partially absorbed twins, like there's a part of my mind that's always like, is the twin still there?
No. Like thinking? No.
Are you sure?
Because it's only like the only thing that's developed in this particular case, the only thing that's developed is like a hip socket and a leg.
There isn't like
that's
a
attached.
nervous system, an extra nervous system somewhere in there that's...
Well, in the leg, there's extra nervous system cordage.
Well, like an extra central nervous system that was
it
developing.
took him a long time to, like, he can control the leg with his regular brain. So, like, it's attached to his nervous system.
Yeah, it's just like the central nervous system is one of the first things that develops. So if that develops and then a leg develops and then it gets absorbed, it's like someone's still in there. Like that would be horrifying.
Did that person, there's a philosophical question of like, did that person die, or was that person never? Or were they never was?
Life begins at conception, so they died.
But were they conceived even? I guess if they're absorbed. But it's not absorbing so much as not developing.
Outside of life begins at conception, I am so far out of my my depth here. Ontological, existential issue with pre-birth being.
Eumillipus, Persephone. I'm not gonna wait for you to finish that sentence. It was, it was going.
I did. I got it. I said being. We got it. We made it over the finish line there.
The millipede has 1,306 legs, and has the most legs of any animal.
Yeah, it's just like
I try
feathers.
To find, like, what's an animal? I was trying to find an animal with, what's an animal with like an odd number of legs. So starfish was an answer, even though they're not technically legs. Some people, like a lot of, I was seeing kangaroo, because technically a kangaroo can stand and move around with their tail. It's like some people consider it a third leg. It's not really. It's just a tail with some extra abilities.
I mean, you could call
hensile tail an arm.
You can call a snail.
Yeah. That
has
was
one
also
leg.
on the list. Yeah, 1 foot.
Monopod. Gastropod.
Yeah.
Stomach foot.
But that's all I got.
All right, you ready for some fast facts before we get to the major facts?
Yeah.
All right. The giant desert centipede lives in the desert. Believe it or not. Its ranges the American Southwest, from the tip of Southern California to Missouri, all the way down to central Mexico. It loves very dry and arid places, but it also likes places that have lots of rocks and places to hide. The Sonoran Desert is ideal. It's not just like sand dunes or anything like that, like the Arabian Desert. It's got a lot of features, which is perfect for a bug that wants to hide around to either avoid predators or catch prey. It does not like to be too hot, so it doesn't come out like in the blistering heat of the desert sun. So it's mostly active at night. It's nocturnal, or it will come out when it's cloudier out.
Mm-hmm.
I can say what it eats, or we can just move on from that, depending on.
You can say what it eats.
So it likes to eat insects, which is pretty typical for a centipede. What is atypical is that it likes to eat larger animals like mice and voles and lizards and small snakes and newts and frogs. It doesn't just go after invertebrates; it goes after vertebrates as well. Many times it's mass.
Like we said, whenever the arthropod gets big enough to eat mammals, I take personal offense to that.
I consider it an existential threat. So, like I said, they're nocturnal. They'll also molt as they grow in size and stature and wisdom and knowledge. But no matter how many times they molt, they will always have the same number of segments. So it's not like they're born and they have 2 segments and then they molt and they get 4 and then they eventually get to their maximum size. They were born with, the 20, 21 or 23 segments that they have, and those just get bigger as they grow and I'll leave it at that.
Okay. So I'm going to call this major fact killing with kindness.
Aw.
It's kind of a lie. The centipede is the giant desert one is primarily nocturnal, and it hunts all of those things in the dead of night with speed and ambush tactics. So it often uses lying in wait tactics to spring on unsuspecting prey. When an opportunity arises, it strikes quickly, and it uses its speed to catch prey off guard. So it's fast, but it's sneaky. But that's not all. It has another tool in its toolkit. It has a venom, which contains a mix of substances, including histamine, various proteins, and serotonin.
Nice. I'll take some of that.
Which it uses to subdue its prey. So the centipede is specialized with its pincer-like appendages, which are called forcipules.
Like forceps kind of
Latin,
thing?
It would be forcipules. Yeah. Forceps, like pinchers. And it uses it to inject venom into its prey. And this venom immobilizes the prey nearly instantly, depending on the animal's size and dimensions.
But makes him feel real good about it.
So once the prey is immobilized, the centipede uses its powerful jaws to consume it. The venom is not only paralyzes the prey, but it also starts the digestion process. I assume that's the proteins doing their thing. But why does this venom have serotonin in it? So your body and mouse bodies, and lots of bodies, makes serotonin naturally. And it's often referred to as the feel-good chemical, or one of the feel-good chemicals in your brain, because it helps regulate mood. It contributes to feeling of well-being and happiness. And people take drugs in order to manipulate serotonin levels, and that makes them feel those feelings even more intensely.
It's not like we spent 5 years writing about that exact thing.
Yeah. But serotonin is also found in the venom of several animals. When injected into prey, serotonin causes intense pain by triggering the contraction of smooth muscles. So, serotonin is it's in stimulants a lot of the time, or stimulants affect serotonin levels by increasing them. So I can only imagine I guess it causes muscle contractions, and if you have high serotonin, you feel excited, and if you're really, really affected by serotonin, you're tense. So it's causes intense contractions of muscles.
Probably the amount of serotonin versus the volume of a mouse's body is probably just getting a whole bucket of it injected into your veins kind of thing.
Yeah. And even humans can experience serotonin syndrome, which is like psychosis that's induced by drugs that manipulate serotonin levels or
SSRIs.
Yeah.
The the mood changers, the Prozacs and stuff.
Yeah, so it can like anything, too much of it can really not be good for you. So if you're a mouse and it's injected to you with sharp pinchers, it's really not good for you. The combination of the effects of the serotonin uh, is and the other things in this chemical compound causes intense pain and immobilization, and it's not good for them. And then they, eat them because they are also like a large centipede with knives on its face. So there's all that. But what happens if a human gets bitten by a giant desert centipede? So venom from a giant desert centipede can be dangerous to humans. It's rarely fatal. I don't think I couldn't find any instance where it was fatal. If you get, but in all of these cases, like if you have some sort of allergic reaction, it can be fatal.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get bit, you might experience pain and swelling. A bite from the centipede is typically extremely painful immediately, and swelling around the area, around where the bite is. Some people experience additional symptoms like redness and itching and headaches and dizziness and nausea and swollen lymph nodes. And then in rare cases, anaphylactic shock. And if it's not treated properly, the venom can cause a kind of necrosis, which is like local tissue damage, where you're like the flesh around the bite dies.
A lot of spiders have like necrotoxins.
Mm-hmm. And I assume that's the proteins that break down their food. Like when it's biting something it wants to eat, it starts to break it down so they can slurp it up and stuff.
Yeah, it kind of like spits digestive enzymes onto spiders, like put it into things and then kind of turn it into like a little arthropod soup
smoothie.
Yeah.
While the bite is extremely painful, it's rarely life-threatening, but this is one of the few one of the few like insect venom bites that put Coyote Peterson into the hospital. The guy that intentionally has things bite him to like test, like to report on the pain index and like what it's like.
Yeah, that tiger episode was crazy.
There's no tiger episode. There is a snapping turtle episode that seemed not good at all.
Yeah, why would you do that?
This one, he said like the pain just wouldn't go away. Like for like 24 hours or something, or for whatever it was, it just got worse and worse and worse. So he had to go to the hospital.
I feel like getting bit by a snapping turtle, it's not like that pain's going away anytime soon.
Well, that there's a difference between like the flesh wound and like I know this is gonna heal, and like
the feeling that like
pain that increases over time,
that your soul has been damaged a little bit, like your spirit has been poisoned and it's not. This is transcended a flesh wound.
Yeah. But it's like he put it at the top of his list. Even though like if you look up like other lists, there's other things that take the cake, like the bullet ants or whatever. But this was his like most painful one.
Wow. I mean, it seems like it acts a little bit like being shocked because it causes your muscles to contract without letting them go.
Yeah. It can't help that, like, literally there's, like, puncture marks either. Like, if it had no venom, it would hurt a lot.
Oh, yeah. Like getting bit by a snake. You're still getting stabbed with a couple of knives.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a python or something. It's like I still really, really, really don't want to get bit. Even if it's
like
not
getting
venomous.
stabbed with 2 sewing needles. That's what it's like.
Yeah, but they're like way thicker than sewing needles, and curved, so it's not clean in and out.
But yeah,
Yeesh.
That's all I got for that.
Stay away from giants. Stay away from centipedes in general. but definitely the giant
Yeah,
ones.
so it's called. I called it "Kill It with Kindness" because they're giving you the feel good chemical, but I don't think like even a little bit it feels good.
See, when you said that, and you mentioned serotonin, I thought like the whole thing was that it kind of like chills out the animal, so that they're being eaten, but
So,
they're feeling good about it. So it's just like a really nice
That's
thing
more
for
like
the centipede to do.
No, that would be horrifying. That's almost like the what is it of the voles or moles that have like a shrews. There's a type of shrew that is a venom that paralyzes, but like doesn't kill, and it will keep living paralyzed animals in its den for the winter and eat them over time. Horrifying.
How have we not covered this guy? Put him on the list.
I think we did. I thought we did.
I don't think we've done a shrew before.
We've done the Etruscan shrew.
Oh yes, we have done that one. We did the star-nosed mole, but
Um,
I don't remember ever doing this because it's news to me.
But yeah, that's all I got.
It would be interesting to find an animal that like just made its prey so like off its rocker, but happy that it was fine to be eaten. It was just like,
They might be.
And we could spend the whole episode making allusions to like Jonestown or something like that.
Well, there's a lot of psychedelics in nature, so I wonder if like that. I'm assuming those are developed as a defense mechanism. Like, why does the California river toad have that?
Yeah, instead of just straight up
Poison.
like toxins. I feel like that would be a little more useful. Well, we should just go back to our episode on the Colorado River toad.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's been a while. All right, that was the giant desert centipede. For you out there in Podcastia, have a midnight snack. Remember that redheads have all the fun, and kill your enemies with kindness. And I guess a little bit of serotonin, like the giant desert centipede here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
I had to look up the redheads have all the fun thing to make sure it wasn't like a naughty thing, and it's not. So I was like, okay, good.